Right. So, hello, salam, namaste, sat sri akal, and welcome to yet another episode of What's Your Story by Madhavi. And today we have a I mean, he needs no introduction though, but an IAS officer, and who says hard work, challenge is very important in life, who believes in value system, a very enchanting and effervescent personality altogether on my show. And uh, he is an IAS from 1992 batch who holds a master degree in psychology from Delhi University, MBA from IIM Kolkata, and many more degrees from around the world in public management, economics, leadership, environment policies. And the list is long. So, without a further ado, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, the Principal Secretary of the Industries, Commerce and Information Technology, Government of Telangana. Welcome, sir. Welcome to my show.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Madhvi. Look forward to a wonderful interaction now.
Absolutely. And I'm so nervous today. Well, I'm telling this on an open forum. So, how are you doing, sir, today?
It has been a interesting day. I mean, though it is a holiday for me, second Saturdays are offs for us, but still,
Right.
today I had to do lots of work. There were three video conferences today, one after the other from 11 in the morning, then a meeting with the chief secretary, then some free
Okay.
time, then interacting with you, then
Mm-hmm.
two, three special events in the evening. So, long
Yeah.
day for
Long day for you. So let's make it more
uh,
lively.
which
Though
is how
you
all
must, yeah, please carry on, sir.
which is how all my days are. In fact, as you would know, when people are asked about their jobs, what do
Yeah.
you do? What kind of work do you do? And sometimes when you are doing something very great, typically you tell people that I'm in a job in which no 2 days are the same. What I
Absolutely. No two
say,
hours are same for you.
so exactly that is how it is. No 2 hours are the same, and that is what I like.
I have, yeah, I've seen you telling this in many interviews that no 2 hours are same for an IS officer at this, authoritative position. Yes, maybe. So how do you, let's go back to your past of your starting the career. Like you have done MBA and masters in from IIM. So how come IAS?
So it's a strange story. Actually, I was all
We
set
would
for
love to. We would love to listen to the story.
sure. So, Madhvi, I was all set for a corporate career because, as you know, once you are in the IAM, I mean, destiny is kind of
Absolutely.
your destiny is kind of pre-written, and
Absolutely.
some of the best companies come there and they select candidates, they select students
Yeah,
for
the
their
placements
job.
happen right after your finals.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So everything is kind of very well settled. You don't have to worry about jobs. Once you get into the
Absolutely.
IAM, your placement problems are taken
It's set.
over by the college. Actually, you are not bothered about placements. But in my case, something very different happened. So what happened is like this: that typically in a business school, between the first year and the second year, you are supposed to do a summer placement. It's an internship
Yes,
roughly
it's internship.
for about 2 months. You spend 2 months. Basically, it gives you a flavor of the
Yeah,
corporate world, so that tomorrow when you get into a job, you are prepared. You have that sense of readiness. So I
yeah.
did my summer placement in a company called ICICI. So it's a different kind of institution now. Today we associate ICICI more like a bank, like it
Bank.
has branches, it has ATMs. But in those days, ICICI did not have any retail arm. There were no banks, there were no outlets.
Hmm.
ICICI was more of a multilateral funding agency. So it used to
Yeah.
give funding for large industrial projects, commercial projects, and its office was located in Kolaba in Bombay,
Uh-huh.
In Nariman Point area. So I used to go to the
Uh-huh.
office there, and they had given me some project which I was working on. But what I started noticing and realizing was that the work culture is very, very kind of unhealthy. And I'll give you one example. What I would notice was, see, in Bombay, as all of us know, commute is a very big challenge because Bombay is geographically
Absolutely.
a kind of a narrow rectangular city. And obviously Kolaba, as all of us, I mean many of us would know, Nariman Point is South Bombay's extreme, the tip of South
Hmm.
Bombay.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
typically the residential areas are in central Bombay, North Bombay, and so
Yeah,
everyone
and so on.
takes quite a long to commute from your office to your
Absolutely.
place of stay. And therefore, because these commutes are long, people start leaving offices, let us say by 5:30, at the most 6, so that they,
Really? I never had seen this culture now. It's like 8, 8:30, 9, you go back home.
yeah, but offices have also shifted now. Now Nariman Point is not the fulcrum. The fulcrum is really central Bombay,
Yeah,
Bandra
it's
Kurla,
changed. Yeah,
BKC, and all.
yeah.
So what I would notice was that while typically everyone would leave at 5:36, but let us
Hmm.
say some employee has some additional work and he has chosen to stay back in the office for another 1 hour. The very next day, you will realize that 10 others are also staying back for one extra hour, just to kind of prove a point that he is not
I'm
the only
working
person.
hard. I'm working hard. I'm also there. So you're not only, yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry. So, as I
It's
said,
okay.
the very next day, 10 others will stay back just to show that he's not the only one who is working. We are also equally working and
Absolutely.
all that. So, this kind of rat
Absolutely.
race mentality, that just to prove a point that he's not only the one, I'm also hardworking, I also deserve a promotion. And the kind of work which was going on, I at least found it to be very, very kind of trivial. It's not nothing very outstanding. You don't create any big social impact by what you do. So that those 2 months in Bombay in ICICI, that really changed my mind. I realized that if I get into a career or a job of this kind where I have to spend all my life, then I thought that
Doing a
this
monotonous job after a certain point of time, you
precisely.
do feel like every day same work, same thing. You have very little scope of, promotions and jumping ahead.
Yes, and also this rat race kind of mentality is never has never appealed
No.
to me. In fact, otherwise also as a person, I have never really bothered about what the other person has and whether I have the same or I don't have the same. These things never strike me also, whether the other person has some car or a big house or a latest phone, and whether I
Hmm.
have that or not. I mean, I never see things from a relative perspective. So you can imagine that when I realized that the entire office culture is like this, that people are viewed relative to each other, I mean, that turned me off. And of course, I was a bit immature. I should have realized that what is happening
What
in
age
ICI.
were you at that point of time? How?
I was 24. So, of course, not very young, but definitely not very kind of
Yeah,
experienced at worldly
yeah.
wise. So, I should have realized that what is going on in ICICI is not the
Hmm.
universe. It is not. It does not mean that every company will be like that only. There could be others as well. But somehow I never thought about all that, and I realized that this line of activity is not for me. And then I should look at what else can I do. And then that was a very stark realization when I at 24, when I decided that this is not my cup of tea. I have
Hmm.
to find something else. Then I realized that my choices are very, very few. My choices are very limited. And then, of course, civil services, getting into the civil services came up as one of the important choices. And then I decided that I'll make an effort. I'll give it a try. And of course, by God's grace and with the
With first click, you got a topper degree of an IAS holder in 1992 batch, and
yeah,
that's how you cracked it.
which
Uh,
is very unusual because
yes, it's very unusual because I too wanted to become an IAS. I'm confessing in front of you, but it could not happen due to
and
other
uh, and
circumstances.
those who are serious about it, those who decide to appear in that exam and kind of try their luck, their preparation methods are very different. They typically
Absolutely.
come to a place where there are lots of coaching facilities available, and in our
Yes,
country, Delhi is one place which has lots of these coaching
Rao
institutes.
IAS coaching,
Yeah,
this coaching, that coaching. Even
that
I
coach.
was told to,
Yeah.
read books like Tata McGraw and all those kind of stuff, to
Yes,
just update your knowledge. So
very
yeah.
true, very true. So typically, prepare an aspirant who he would typically move over to Delhi. He would take a small rented room somewhere, which he
Yeah.
would be sharing with maybe 5 others or 10 others, and his life literally for the next few years will be like a zombie. You won't be able to even recognize him because he'll grow a big beard, and most of the time they'll be having a thick
Always in the book. Always in the book. Always in the book.
always in the book, and their interaction with others
Newspapers.
and their interaction with others also will be very, very strange. They won't even recognize you, they won't understand what you are telling them, and they live in their own world almost like zombies. So
Hmm.
I did not do anything of that kind. I did not turn into a zombie. I did not move to Delhi. I did not kind of enroll myself in a coaching institution. So with all these handicaps, so-called handicaps, when I prepared and when I appeared in the exam, my confidence level was not very high,
Hmm.
because I was aware that people spend 5 years, four years
Yes.
of their life
Yes.
preparing and reading this coaching, that coaching, and I had not done anything of that kind. So I was not very sure whether I'll be able to stand up to this kind of competition. So eventually, when I got selected, I felt really, first of all, astonished, but also realized that there are some bigger forces who are kind of behind my life, who are operating my life, who are giving me their blessing. So it's nothing but a miracle, in my opinion.
Oh, so you don't think that you were that intelligent?
I mean, I now, of course, obviously, when I
You,
look back and
yeah,
see that what people are not able to do in five years, I've been able to do it in 1 year itself. I do realize that I did have some skills which helped me, and now I realize that one of that skill, I typically in a kind of light-hearted way.
share it with us.
No, I tell people that this is an exam writing skill. Even if you're not very sharp and intelligent and bright, if you know
Yeah.
how to write exams well, then you will do well. So this is a different kind of gift, a different kind of skill. Some people
Uh-huh.
are good at writing exams.
Yeah.
So that worked well with me. And here I am. I mean, so many years of more than close to 3 decades of journey is now gone by, and I feel
Uh,
absolutely kind of awesome at the way my life has taken a turn.
yes, you have been lauded with a lot of blessings by the grace of God. And on the contrary, let me go back to your school life. What type of kid you were? कैसे बच्चे थे आप? बदमाश?
See, so
क्योंकि
let me.
इस रूप में हमने आपको बहुत जगह देखा है स्ट्रिक्ट रूप में speaking about IAS, teaching people, taking IT, and everything about everything, But I want to know behind who the person behind your name. Who is that person?
Yeah, so let me kind of break my childhood into three parts. One is, of
Oh,
course, very early years when you are very
huh.
young. You are
Hmm.
kind of a toddler, and
Hmm.
the preschool kind of days.
Hmm.
Then I would say early school, and then
Hmm.
later school. So
Late. Yeah.
it's not that there is anything very dramatic that I'm going to say, but
Hmm.
things have. Anyone for that matter, Madhavi, if you when you get your next guest also, if you ask this question in this fashion, like tell about your childhood phases, then maybe you'll get more vivid answers, and perhaps some of the things will be very kind of unusual.
Noted. Noted.
And then maybe you should try answering this question yourself, so that you will also understand what is the point that I'm making about framing the question in this particular way. So,
Yes.
if I look back at my childhood, see, one very defining part of my childhood is that I'm a only child. So, in many ways,
Hmm.
this itself kind of creates a particular way of life pattern, interaction with your parents, interaction with outsiders for you. Only children typically are more kind of protected. Their
Pampered.
parents are more caring, they're pampered in some ways, but definitely they get lots of attention from their parents. So that is definitely one thing. And if I look, as I said, when I see my life, childhood life in three phases, and when I look at the very first part, the preschool, of course, I was a child who was very kind of, I was very fair, and I've of course become very tanned now. I mean, I would imagine as fair as you are, Madhvi, as
You are still a persona to be looked at.
So
Trust me.
I mean, if you
I
say
have
so,
seen you
that,
in IS club in the gym, and I can tell you, I've seen you personally. That's for
well,
sure.
well, if you say so, I feel flattered. But the reality is that as a small child, I was kind of fairer.
More,
I had long
more.
hair. Typically, children undergo this mundans multiple
Yes,
times.
yes,
But
yes.
my case, just once was enough, and then I'd grown.
Mm,
I was maintaining long hair, and I was very kind of active, full of. I was doing all kinds of pranks. One of my favorite pastimes was that we had a kind of a water tub in my home. So
mm,
one of my favorite pastimes was to throw things inside that tub. So my
okay.
father watch once I threw in, a library book once I threw in, and all kinds of
Mm,
funny things happened. So very
right.
active, full of energy, lots of kind of pranks and all. Then in
Mhm.
the early school ages,
Later stages, yeah.
the second part,
The
which I
second
feel
stage.
is a very important part of anyone's life. I mean, those are the years. Let us
Absolutely.
say,
Teenage types.
not teenage. I'm talking about early school years when you just start going to school,
Okay, talking about
five to 10, etc.
5
These
to 10.
these are the ages where your entire personality is defined. The way you are brought up in that period is something which is very very important for you. And I really feel that the sense of responsibility, the humility, the humbleness, the ability to look beyond your own interest and look at others, etc. All those things came at that stage. Plus, the attitude towards work, the attitude towards hard work. So, my parents, from a very in those days, we did not have television and all that or internet at all. So, books were one very important pastime, and
Mhm.
my parents did introduce me to the habit of reading and the habit of kind of arts, culture, etc. So and then I realized that I'm also good at studies, because in those days when I would
Okay,
be
you realized.
yeah, when I was in the school, I was doing well in the tests and exams and so on and so forth. And
Wow.
then when I look back at my rest of my childhood in the subsequent years, of course, the important thing was that because I was a only child, I was not able to develop too many friends. But one thing which I started realizing was that lots of inner resources come in. Like you become very imaginative. So I started
Mhm.
writing. I started writing at that point in time. There used to be some children's magazines. So I used to be a very frequent contributor to those magazines. I would write some very imaginative essays, articles, poems.
Wow.
I felt very happy when my articles started getting published. So that is
Mhm.
one kind of trait which I picked, which is about imagination, creativity, and so
Mhm.
on and so forth. So average childhood, but in this way, I kind of got a strong foundation built, which later on, which
Yes.
has defined my life later on, of being able
Yes.
to value the contribution of hard work and
Yes, it's to
of
be seen now.
not depend upon anyone else. That is again a very defining personality trait in me. Be completely independent, be completely self-reliant, and rely on your own inner resources. Don't require external kind of stimulus to keep you engaged. So lots of people keep telling. I mean, it's a very casual thing to say. Many times you hear people say, I'm totally bored. There's nothing to do. I'm so bored." I mean, this kind of feeling has never come to me. A scenario when I can say that I'm bored, I don't even know what the definition of the word bored is in an experiential way, because I've never experienced this phenomena that I'm
Mhm.
bored. So that is a important trait which got kind of established during
Mhm.
my early years when I was an only child, so to say.
So you were born in Lucknow.
Yes, it's
What
a
kind of attitude was there at your home towards you from your parents' side?
so as I said, my parents are very kind of broad-minded. Typically,
Mm-hmm.
one very important factor is in those days, and even now to a large extent, parents used to have a very large influence in your path of studies. For
Yes.
example, what course will you study? whether you will write some engineering entrance exam or medical entrance exam. Would you become a doctor? Would you become an engineer? Typically, parents play a very large part, a large role in taking these kind of decisions. But in my case, no such decision was taken by my parents, which is very, very unusual,
Mm-hmm.
particularly for an only child, where the parents obviously would be perhaps having higher hopes that he's the only child, and then therefore, if he becomes an engineer or a doctor or an IAS officer, for that matter, that will be great for us. But my parents had no such kind of goals or game plan for me, and they were very liberal in these kind of things, that whatever I want to study, whatever I want to, whichever exam I want to write, whichever exam I don't want to write, they would never interfere with these kind of things. So tremendous amount of freedom and autonomy in these kind of matters, which is very unusual even now when the world has changed quite a lot and there are hundreds and hundreds of other career options also. I still come
Yeah.
across so many young people who are studying something just because their parents force them to do so, even though they are quite unwilling about that particular choice of course.
Mm-hmm.
In those days also, my parents were very kind of liberal about these matters. So this is
So
something very,
your father was into journalism?
yes, yes. Towards the last part of his career, he became a journalist, and he was a journalist, of course. He worked for an English newspaper in Lucknow, which is called the Pioneer. And
Mm.
my
Okay.
mother is a doctor. She's a gynecologist.
Gynecologist? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So they're still there with you, right?
My
Yeah.
father, unfortunately, is no more. My father passed
I'm
away
sorry.
some years ago.
Mm.
But my
Yeah.
mother now lives with us in Hyderabad.
Okay. So
She
this
has,
kind of sorry. So this kind of attitude, you instill the same thing into your daughter. You have a very cute daughter, as far as I know. So
yes.
what kind of methodology you adopt for her?
In fact, I'm much more liberal with her than my parents were with me. In fact, I will give you, I'll narrate a small incident to you. So, in my case, of course, while what I wanted to study, etc., were completely left to me, but I still remember that in my childhood, when I was a school student, my
Mm-hmm.
mother in particular, not so much my father, my mother in particular would occasionally check on whether I'm doing all my homework and whether I'm submitting my assignments, and when my report card comes,
Stuff
what is there
like
in the
that.
report card. So, some brief kind of supervision, not a very strict supervision, but some kind of a moderate
Yeah.
supervision used to be
Yeah.
there. In case of
Mm.
my daughter, we have stopped. I mean, I have never practiced any kind of supervision. What is her marks and how many marks and what is her rank and all. I kind of I don't bother at all about it. In fact, I have gone to that extent also, that once I have told her that even if you fail in your exams, it is completely all right with us. We are not going to worry that you passed or you did not pass, and so on and so forth. And I mean, some people may find it very shocking to hear. See, I'm the highest topper. This is the mother of all exams. And a person who has topped
True.
that exam telling his child that even if you fail, it is quite all right with us. I mean, it's a very 360-degree kind of reversal. Someone who has such high skills on exam taking and has topped literally all the exams, telling his child that whether you pass or fail, it makes no difference. It is one and the same. So that is how
What
it has
makes
been.
you say that?
No, no. The point it's not to say that I wish that she fails or anything.
No,
The
no,
point,
no. I mean, you must be having something in your mind, a reason why you say this.
yeah. So I say this for just one reason, which is that she should not get into any kind of pressure.
Hmm.
So there should not be what I call performance pressure. That
Yes.
I have to study hard, I have to become number one, I have to get this rank, I have to get that medal. So the idea is to tell her that there is no pressure on you. Whether you study 10 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour, you have the total choice. And subsequently, I feel that when you grow old and when you are brought up with these kind of values, that you are responsible for your decision, whether you
Hmm.
study 10 hours or 1 hour or 0 hour, that is your
Hmm.
choice. And obviously, whatever choice you make, we will respect that. We will kind of support your choice. That's a very big thing to convey to a child. The child may not understand this. My daughter may laugh at, she may think that this is a joke. In fact, once or twice, I remember I had gone to a school function. Some school had called me as the chief guest for their annual day, and my daughter was free, so I kind of took her along. And there I actually spoke this in the front of the entire audience, that while you are in a good school, I'm sure they are giving you good teaching, but don't get bogged down completely by that. Continue to
Ah.
enjoy whatever else you want to do. Don't worry too much about exams. And then I suddenly turned to my daughter and told everyone. She studies in a different school, and I have told her that even if you fail, completely all right with me. And then, of course, I told that I don't mean to say that all of you start failing, but what I mean
No,
to say
it's just in another way that yes, there should be less pressure on the child, and
exactly.
also on the contrary, ki if a child is not able to understand, let him fail and understand in the first priority of a first basis only. Instead कि वो बहुत देर हो जाए,
True, true. So, in fact, Madhavi, what you say is something very true for our startups. See, as you know, Hyderabad, as a part of my work, I engage a lot with startups, and we have
Yes,
actually created a huge innovation ecosystem in Hyderabad and now in the rest of the state.
yes,
And this is something which I tell to startups quite frequently when I interact with them, that failure is not something to be avoided at all cost. You may fail, but the failure will give you lots of very valuable learning which you will utilize in your
absolutely.
next entrepreneurial journey. So failure is just a kind of a term, but it has other kind of meanings. Failure
And
doesn't mean that the person.
failure also has a time span, अगर जितनी जल्दी failure आप झेलते हो उतना आप उससे सीखते हो and you learn from it. So I think it's good. It's
Yes,
good to have a failure somewhere earlier in your life rather than it's too late.
absolutely, precisely. But as you also pointed out, in my daughter's case, I'm using the term failure basically in the sense of
Not to
pressure,
put a pressure.
not to
Yeah,
put a.
not to put a pressure. So, who is the boss at home? Ruchi ma'am or you?
See, I don't take any significant decision at home, but I kind of cherish their decisions. I respect their decision. Whatever decisions they make, I kind of support them. So
No, it's like,
I
कभी कभी attitude हो जाता है, authoritative attitude. No, if I'm outside, I have to no, it cannot be happen this way. When I say this, it has to be this way.
no, not at
So,
all.
घर पे तो
I
ऐसा नहीं है ना?
no, no. And otherwise also, even in work also, I have a large team. I work with almost 300 odd
I
people,
know.
but I am never authoritarian in my decision making. In fact, I am an extremely participatory person in my meetings also, where let us say some decision has to be taken. I ask everyone to speak. Let they together come out with a decision, and then maybe if I have something to value add, some input to give, I do that. But it
Mhm.
is never that this is my decision and here all of you have to just go out and implement. I don't do that in work also, and
Mhm.
that is my leadership style, that you don't kind of pre-decide things, listen to
Yeah.
others, allow everyone to hear each other, and then logically the best decision emerges. And I have seen it in so many contexts. Once you do that, once a decision is arrived at through consensus, the buy-in of your team members, of your colleagues in implementing that decision becomes much, much higher, which is very, very important thing. And if you take a unilateral one-way kind of a decision, my way or highway, then
Mm.
the chances of it getting implemented sincerely, people may still implement because it has come from the top, but the sincerity in implementation will not be there, and therefore there'll be some weakness or some loophole somewhere or the other. So at home
So
also follow the same philosophy. I'm not different outside the home and inside the home. They're not two persons. The same kind of attitude, that hear everyone's view and take the final call, that remains at home as well.
so you are a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian?
See, this is a very. I mean, this answer will kind of will not be. You wouldn't have expected this kind of an answer which I'm going to give to you, and you will be zapped, because I don't think there are too many people in the world who follow what I'm going to tell you. So the
Okay.
answer is that I'm 6 months vegetarian and 6 months non-vegetarian.
Well, I know that.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's a very unusual kind of
Unusual. I know, but now I want to ask
lifestyle.
you why.
See, it is like this. There is no religious significance, or there is no
No logic has to be there.
yeah, there is some logic. The logic is that in 6 months, for example, I'm in the vegetarian phase now. On the 1st of January, I start this vegetarian phase. So
The
seven.
bird flu is on, the swine flu is on,
Uh,
so you
so,
you
uh,
turn vegetarian.
I'm very lucky that way, that the vegetarian phase coincided
Yes, yes.
with this unfortunate. I mean,
Oh, the
I'm lucky
birds
that
are lucky. It's the other way around.
they are surviving. They are
They
surviving.
survive.
So there's no religion or spirituality behind it. The logic is that
Uh-huh.
you, in these 6 months, you eat more veggies, more kind of salads, healthy stuff. And
Okay.
I also go to gym. I do workouts in
Mm-hmm.
this week. I go otherwise also, but I do much more intensive kind of work. And in fact, immediately after this recording gets over, I'm heading to the gym where my trainer will be waiting. So I kind of
Yes.
I use the 6 months basically to take care of my health, get the body better toned. Because the problem is that because of the particular position that I employ, I get lots of invitations for social events, social functions. Literally, there have been days
Yes.
where I have been attending to 3, 4 social functions in the same evening, eating out everywhere. And as of course, as you know, the Hyderabadi food is definitely
Absolutely.
very delicious,
Tempting and
very
yes.
tempting. So you can't stop. Also, if someone tells you that some master chef has made this biryani, or someone has done some great halim or
Ah.
whatever, so you can't stop. Also, it's a kind of insult to the chef if you say that no, I'm on a diet. I'll eat only say 1 spoon of
Yeah,
biryani.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
In Lucknow, actually, if you decline food, you are insulting the chef.
Ah,
So
yes. It's a
uh,
Avadi biryani is the
yeah,
famous and the
that
tunde ki kebab. You can't miss all those stuff.
yeah. And even if you go to someone's home and if you say nahi, I'll just eat some one roti, and
Ah,
you have insulted the host actually. So that is how it has been. So in those times, you kind of tend to overeat, and then I have a tendency to put on weight, so it kind of impacts my health. So I use this formula to balance. Once you are off meat, etc., then there's a self control. Even if you go and find the most tempting food, the moment you tell them that I'm a vegetarian, obviously you're not insulting anyone. If you're a vegetarian, that's a lifestyle
well, that's
choice.
a very, very
Yeah.
good kind of a philosophy
And
that you
so I
follow.
have been doing this now. I recall this is 2021 now. So I think it is more than 12, 13 years. It's not a childhood thing. I mean, this choice came to me about 10, 12 years ago. And since then, I've been very diligently following the 6 months thing. And by and large, it is okay. It also is a test of your willpower. Now, today, as I said, I'm in the vegetarian phase. Even if you spread before me the most delectable non-veg fare, I mean, I won't be tempted at all, because I know that this is the phase where I'm completely off it. So it won't kind of make me feel weak, or make me feel regretful that why am I following some very silly kind of lifestyle pattern. So it's also a test of your willpower.
Right. So it's amazing to know, but actually it helps. Now I see it helps. It does that. It helps because I've seen you personally doing such hard work at the gym. And I do know your trainer work hard. It's like 6 months. Sir is here is working hard. And you have to get rid of that weight. Okay, so coming back to let me ask you a very rather a question in my mind, like uh, a yin yang base kind of a combo which comes with good and an evil. A power brings good and evil together. You know, so how do you strike a balance at this authoritative position?
See, this again is a I'm glad that you have asked this question. This question also has a very interesting answer. It has a lot to do with the person's personality, that person's character. So in my opinion, if you believe that you don't deserve this power, this has just come by you just by chance, then you will be much more humble and responsible about that power.
Hmm.
But if you think that you are God's gift to mankind, power should be there first with you, it is an entitlement, then you will misuse that power. So I am of the first type. I told you also that when I was appearing
Yes.
at exam, my confidence levels were very low. And obviously,
Mm.
when I got through, I saw this as a miracle. So
Mm.
I never, in fact, there's a very determining motto of my life, a very important guiding principle, which is count your blessings. So everything that you have received till today is a blessing. You don't deserve it.
Mhm.
There's nothing
Right.
extraordinary about you, but somehow destiny has propelled you towards this path and you have reached this position. It's just a blessing. So if you remain content that everything is a blessing, then the tendency that okay, I will demand this, I will grab this, I
Yeah.
will use it, that yang will not come in the picture at all.
Come
But
in the
as
picture.
I explained, if your thinking is completely different, then yang will dominate your way in which you operate your power.
Mhm. And what kind of, after doing the hard work outside, what is the recreation at the end of the day when you come back home is just left for you and your family? How do you want to spend the time?
No,
What
no,
do you
but
do generally?
no, no. I do have since the beginning, since the time I joined the IAS, I have multiple interests beyond work also, and I spend lots of time in doing all that. So I am, for example, heavily into arts, culture, literature, sports.
Absolutely.
I run lots of organizations. For example, you may or may not know this, but I'm the president of the Olympic Association of Telangana. There is a very signature literary festival that happens in Hyderabad every January. It's called the Hyderabad Literary Festival. I'm the chairman of the organizing committee of that literary festival. There is a
Hmm.
signature theater festival that happens in Hyderabad in November called the
Yes, I know. I know that. I know.
Kadir Ali Beg Theatre Festival. So I'm on the organizing committee of that theatre festival. And I can go on and on and on. If you look at my CV, there are at least 2 dozen such organizations. Also, lots of charities, not just arts, culture.
Yeah,
I
you are a very big socialist, and I know that you are
so
associated
support.
with like Heal a Child and
Yes,
many other
yes. So support,
charitable organizations.
support lots of such social development projects. So quite a bit of my time is taken away by these things. Of course, I do a honest day's work. Not to say that all these are happening at the cost of my work or I dilute.
Hmm.
So work takes majority of the day, but post that I do spend at least a couple of hours or sometimes more on these kind of things. And then I do have personal interests also. During this lockdown period, when the evenings were relatively freer, there were no social interactions, etc. I developed I mean, it's not a hobby per se, but a good pastime of watching some great movies which I had either missed out or I had seen them at a very early age where I had not really understood the kind of the way the director had structured the or constructed the movie. So now that we have wonderful platforms on which all these classic movies are available,
Yes,
watch
yes.
on some days I was watching two movies a day also. So
Hmm.
lots of movie watching. I read quite a lot, and off late I have also realized that my work brings to me certain new perspectives which I can share with others. So I have also started writing occasionally, not too many, but in the last 6 7 months I have written 3 4 pieces for op-ed pieces for the newspapers which have been published and well received in newspapers like the Times of India, the Hindu, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, beyond work also, I do multiple things which give me lots of satisfaction. It is not that I'm doing those things just for the sake of doing. They also bring me lots of satisfaction, happiness. I feel that I have a flair for doing those kind of things, and when I'm able to do those things well, of course, I'm also contributing something back to people, to society. So, my days are pretty
Oh,
packed.
coming back to, I'm just interrupting you. When you say you have contributed to the society, you have given so much to the society in terms of doing so much of work. What, at the end of the day, what do you realize society has given you back? That one precious thing, can you recall it?
See, so when I joined the civil service, I remember I was working at a small town called Nandyal. It was the
Mhm.
combined state of Andhra Pradesh at that time, and I was working in Nandyal. It was early days in my career, and the president of India at that time had come to visit a temple in that area.
Mhm.
So, of course, the president was occupied with the temple visit and all, but I got a chance to spend lots of time with his secretary to the president of India. And
Okay.
he told me something which I realized is very, very important. He told me that if you have to succeed in the civil services, if you have to kind of lead a
Yes.
impactful civil service career, then the
Right.
first thing you must attempt is to get people's goodwill. If
Okay.
people if people shower their goodwill and blessings on you, you will be much more effective and you will be able to deliver a lot more, and you will create obviously in that process much more impact. So this is something which I have tried in all my assignments in the civil services. Your assignments change after a few years. You are
Mhm.
transferred into a new responsibility. So
Mhm.
whatever responsibility, of course, I have fewer and farther transfers than many others. But whatever assignments, whichever responsibilities I have undertaken, this has been a
Yeah.
very important factor for me. That as early as possible, I should start enjoying the credibility in the eyes of the people. People's goodwill should come towards me. They should really see me as a pro people person who is interested in helping others, who is interested in solving issues which people are facing for maybe
Facing.
for years altogether. So if you do that, then you get a lot in return. You get their goodwill, you get their blessings.
Look, credibility comes with, sometimes with experience, it says, right? It doesn't come in one go. So politicians also have to build a credibility, and sometimes it takes years and years and years, and it doesn't come. So you just kind of say, Ki, I'll give you this, so this will happen. I think you took an example of, providing a tea fiber kind of a thing to some kind of people, and then you kind of, kept some, youth examples. Yeah, I mean, you took some youthful people, right, allotting them to a project, and that was a very different project altogether. I remember. So, how do you make credibility? My point is.
See, three things are very important for building credibility. One is that there should be no inconsistency between what you think, what you speak, and what you do.
Do.
जो आप सोच रहे हैं वही आप बोल रहे हैं और वही आप कर रहे हैं.
कर रहे हैं.
अगर इसमें consistency है, then
Hmm.
people will realize that you are a genuine person. But if they notice, if they detect even the slightest hint of inconsistency, they will realize that you are a fake person, and you will be gone. So this is one very important thing, that there should be a perfect alignment between your thoughts, your words, and your actions. The second very important thing is that for credibility, you have to lead from the front. So I told you that I work with a big team of around 300 people, and
Mhm.
the fact that they accept me as their team leader, they accept to take suggestions from me, ideas from me, is that they also notice that I never shy away from leading them from the front. So if I tell them that we have to do this assignment, it is not that I just tell and then I recede to the background. If I realize that it's a complicated kind of an assignment, I
You
volunteer that
help them,
I will go there, I will do that,
lead them.
I will
Mm.
do this. So don't delegate beyond a point. So that is again a very important thing about credibility. And the third,
Involvement is important, actually, basically.
yes, yes, absolutely. And the third very important thing is that not always do things work the way you want. Many times things will not work out the way you want. There will be some unexpected disasters, there will be some unexpected failures. So how do you deal with that? Do you take responsibility, or do you always try to find some scapegoat to blame the failure upon? So if you do all that, then your credibility will be gone. People will see this, that while everyone is responsible, or you are perhaps more responsible, but you are not owning it up. You are kind of pushing it to someone else. So
Mm.
if you do this regularly, and even if you start doing it, people notice this all these things very very fast. See, we presume that lots of people are uneducated, illiterate. They may be. I have worked in villages also. People have not got
Yes.
great degrees in the villages. They have not gone
Yes.
to colleges and all that. But it doesn't mean that they are ignorant. They can't see anything. They can't observe anything. In fact, their powers of
Mm.
observation are very very sharp. They see
Mm.
they see through people maybe within 5 minutes of their interaction with you. So these are, of course, personality traits. If you are born with this kind of a mentality, this kind of a mindset, this kind of an attitude, definitely you will be a person who will be more prone towards being credible. But while it is a part of your personality, this is also a skill, so you can develop it. It is not an
Mhm.
either or thing. So if I'm not born this way, I can never be a credible person in my life. That is not the conclusion. It is also a kind of a skill which you can build. So how to align your thoughts, your speech, and your action perfectly. One can practice, one can align. How to ensure that you are never shying away from taking responsibility. You are not the person who is diverting blame on others. You can also practice and improve yourself as a person over a period of time.
Yes. Thank you. Now, during this pandemic time, we all have seen that education and technology is playing a lot of games, right? And it's going just hand in hand, side by side. So, what you must be knowing, you must be aware of it, that cyber attacks and cyber crime rate is increasingly high. So, what is the call of our state on that?
Yeah, I I completely agree that while the world is becoming more and more digital because of this
Yes,
pandemic, etc., uh, even people who had never been digital before,
absolutely.
they are also at they are also kind of adopting digital. But this is one of the adverse consequences, that you are also prone to cyber frauds, cyber scams, cyber attacks. In fact, one of the most common cyber frauds which have happened, let us say when the lockdown etc started in April, May, June, literally every day you would read about such case
Yes.
papers,
Yeah.
is what is called the KYC fraud.
Yes.
Like someone will call you saying that I'm from,
Yes.
let us say, Paytm or from somewhere else, and we are
Yeah.
doing some
Complete
KYC.
your KYC, otherwise your number will be
You will
cancelled and
not
this and that.
you can. And then as a part of the questions, they also ask your password and stuff like that.
Yes.
And you realize that
Yes.
thousands of rupees is skimmed away from your account. So unfortunately, all these things are happening, have happened.
In fact, in 2020 there was this loan scam which has happened. You know,
Yes,
it was a
that
very big
all.
scam. The
In fact,
Chinese person was responsible for it. The 4 or 8 people of them.
yes,
So
that is something very recent, and
yes.
we actually are working on it. I have put together a small team which has actually given us a very good report on
Hmm.
how to prevent such things from happening in future. See, whatever has happened has happened. Some people
Yes.
unfortunately have lost their lives also. Unfortunately,
Absolutely. They did
the
suicide, commit
yeah,
suicide.
and fortunately the police acted very swiftly. They have arrested those Chinese and so many others, and the money trail has been established. So obviously, corrective action has been taken very very promptly. But the larger question is, how do you ensure that such things don't happen again in future?
Happen.
So
Yeah.
for that, I have put together a team which has worked out the requirements. What does one need to do? What are the laws which need to govern such things? If there are some existing laws, how to tighten those laws? If there is some law
Hmm.
which is missing, how to create those laws? So we have come up with a very good set of, very robust set of recommendations and suggestions, and I'm confident that these will be adopted in our state of Telangana, and
Yes.
there will not be such untoward kind of things happening in the future.
Great. And actually, I wanted to just speak about this COVID vaccine, which was supposed to be, it was supposed to be here today. It got delayed. In fact, today I read in the newspaper. So, what is happening in the back side, because what is to be seen in the front is different.
No, so I'm I'm very happy to share with you that Hyderabad is has emerged as one of the most important centers for vaccine
Yes.
R&D and vaccine manufacturing. Hyderabad has always been. I mean, I meant COVID vaccine R&D and COVID vaccine
Yes, yes,
manufacturing. So
COVID, of course.
Hyderabad has always been a very important vaccine manufacturing center for other kinds of vaccines also. So this will amaze you when I share this, that one third of the world's vaccines are manufactured in Hyderabad.
Hmm.
So in fact, the entire vaccine supplies to Africa, to African continent, that is, goes from Hyderabad. All the HIV/AIDS vaccines, other kinds of
Hmm.
vaccines, they are all manufactured by companies, biotech companies in Hyderabad. So because we have a strong legacy in biotechnology, when this COVID challenge has come, the companies have risen forward. And there are four companies which are involved in R&D and or production. Some of them are doing only production. Some of them are doing both R&D and production. And it's only a matter of time, matter of few weeks before the rollout starts, because obviously you have to conduct very elaborate tests before these vaccines are made public, because this is a matter of life and death. So you cannot play around, and every piece of research that you do must be supported by experience. So you do these kind of clinical trials, and I'm happy to share with you that the vaccine which Hyderabad-based companies are manufacturing, one of them has completed all the trials. One more is at a stage before, and hopefully in a month or so, they will also complete the trials. But more than that, while these are original attempts to manufacture vaccines, to create vaccines here, lots of manufacturing is already started here. Some of them are being done for other vaccines which have been developed elsewhere, but because they don't have manufacturing capacities in millions, that manufacturing has come to Hyderabad. So
Hmm.
Hyderabad will be playing a very important role in developing and manufacturing and distributing that vaccine. But nevertheless, while the vaccine has come, it does not mean that we should loosen our guards and we should become complacent, because we still don't
Yes.
have complete understanding of this virus, of the challenges. And as I'm sure you know this, that off late we are now seeing a different strain of virus which
Yes,
originated
absolutely.
in the
London,
UK.
Paris, everything is locked down again, once again.
So just
Yeah.
because vaccine has come doesn't give us complete
It's just a shield. It's just a shield. It's just a protection. But as a, mature citizens, we need to take our own precautions. That's for sure. So when it comes to, you know, rather, I must say, Bangalore is considered as the Silicon Valley of India. And I know you will also agree that we have been doing great. So, but on the innovation part, what is, furthermore action now taken for Hyderabad or the state of Telangana, in terms
yeah.
of
No, no. So
innovation
I
to
got your
increase the ecosystem or whatever you
true,
say?
true. No, no, I got the question. But the point is like this. So when you say that Bangalore is considered to be the Silicon Valley,
Bangalore.
or Bengaluru, or it is
Yeah.
considered to be the number one hotspot in this country, our country, that is, for innovation, I add a rider to it. I mean, and those who are from the industry and who understand the industry, they agree with this rider that I add to it, to this tag.
Mm-hmm.
The rider that I add to it is that Bangalore is the Silicon Valley or the innovation hotspot, not because of anything which the government has done there. It has become the Silicon Valley or the innovation hotspot precisely because government has stayed away from these kind of areas. But the case in Hyderabad is very, very different. Hyderabad is now
Okay.
giving a very stiff challenge to Bangalore. In the last 5 years, our annual growth rate in IT, in innovation, is much more than Bangalore. And of course, because they have started much earlier than us, therefore we will not be able to catch up with them, because their size is huge. But the kind of interesting work which is happening in Hyderabad, particularly in innovation,
Yes.
also in emerging technologies, etc. A large credit goes for that goes to the government. See, normally the IT entrepreneurs, the technology entrepreneurs, the startups, they are very kind of dismissive of the government. They feel that the Bangalore model is the best model. That if the government does not interfere, that is the best thing that the government can do to us. The government should stay away from us. But we have
Mhm.
disproved that in Telangana by showing to the entrepreneurs, by showing to the innovators that the government can, without interfering, without micromanagement, without over regulation, we can still provide strategic support to you. And that strategic support can take you 10x further. And this is exactly what has been happening. We have created great institutions for innovation. We have brought the best talent to run those institutions. We have created amazing programs. And from a situation where we were nowhere on the innovation map, today Hyderabad is recognized as a very strong hub of innovation. And
Yes, yes.
to do it in such a short period of time through a very
T
focused,
Hub T
yes,
Hub is a very good example which I can take,
precisely,
and it's rather in fact lauded with a lot of success in the Western Corridor also, and it's being like on the urge of expansion.
yeah.
I have just recently read that it's going to be expanding in Kompally, somewhere near in Kompally. So, what do you have to say on that?
No, that's true. So that's the point, that institutions like T Hub, T Works, V Hub, and there are so many other institutions too. I won't name all of them. These have
Uh-huh.
all been put together by the government. So in Bangalore, there is no T Hub, there is no
Yes.
T Works, there is no Rich, there is no Task, and there are so many other institutions, because the government
Mm.
never got this kind of perspective and this kind of an imagination that by doing this kind of strategic support, I can go much further. In Bangalore, the entire initiative has been driven by the enterprises. In fact, they say that the government, we have succeeded despite the government. But here in Telangana, in Hyderabad, no one can say that we haven't succeeded because of the government. I mean, everything. I mean, I won't also say that we have done everything by ourselves. We have got great academic institutions here who have partnered with us. There are lots of technology leaders who give us lots of time and effort and mentorship, etc., etc. But it is us who have put together everything together. Academic institutions won't come by themselves. We have created a framework, we have created a platform through which it is very easy for the academic institutions to come and play a part in the innovation ecosystem. It's very easy for corporates to join hands. So we have done everything in this partnership approach by bringing all the stakeholders together. But we have played that catalyst role. I mean, that is very clear, which governments elsewhere, particularly Bangalore or Gurgaon, which are seen as
Yes.
erstwhile centers of innovation, they are
Mhm.
nothing as, I mean, the government's role is negligible. It is minuscule, unlike in Telangana. So for a new state to come up and say that, okay, in few years, I will change the innovation landscape, and to actually demonstrate that, yeah, we have done that, it's a matter of great credit. The credit goes
Absolutely.
to our minister first and foremost,
Absolutely.
Ramarao, then his team, which of course
Gee.
includes myself, but all my other colleagues as well.
Thanks to you, sir. Thanks to you. Okay, so our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi ji, has also brought up a policy called Atmanirbhar, which says, slogans like "Be Indian," to have, more of Indian made products. So, what is the contribution of our state towards the policy?
See, the policy definitely is good, and policy should be supported. But Madhavi, I mentioned a while ago that I have written a few articles in the last few months, which have got
Mhm.
published in some of these papers. So one of the article which I wrote jointly with our minister, myself and our minister wrote that op-ed piece which came in the Times of India. We actually commented on this Atmanirbhar scheme. We
Mhm.
mentioned that it is a good scheme, but we should also do a reality check on why we were not Atmanirbhar for so many years. And if we
Okay.
don't address those fundamental issues because of which we were not fully Atmanirbhar in all these years, then this will also remain just a slogan. You will keep saying Atmanirbhar, Atmanirbhar, but if the fundamental challenges remain the same, then you won't make much progress. So that's
So
a that.
where do you find we were lagging,
So
according to you?
I mean, we have given multiple reasons. We have given 5, 6 reasons. One, of course, is the way our education system is designed. The education system is more focused on passing an exam, getting a degree, doesn't encourage too much of creativity, doesn't encourage too much of innovative thinking. Fortunately, in fact, just after we wrote our article, just a few
Hmm.
weeks later, the new education policy got introduced, which actually
Yes,
addressed
NEP 2020.
NEP. So that way,
Yes.
I mean, it's a nice coincidence that we pointed some of those things in the article, and we found immediately, instantly, that there are answers to all of them in the NEP. But we have written about so many other causes also. I'll send you the link of that article. That's a nice article to read.
Sure, sure. I would love to actually. And what about the like senior citizens that goes, it should be taken into consideration. Would love to know that what is the call of the state on their health care, their, well-being, on their part, what is the contribution?
So, I mean, I don't directly deal with this subject, so I don't have very detailed knowledge of the programs for senior citizens. But what I can tell you from a very generalist perspective
A
is,
vague idea, right?
yeah, so that our government's programs are quite good for senior citizens. In fact, I know that there's a pension scheme which is given to senior citizens, which is called Asara pensions. And this scheme used to be there in the combined state of Andhra Pradesh as well. But after
Mhm.
the new state of Telangana came into being, our government actually enhanced this Asra pension many, many times more. Earlier, it was just some nominal amount, some 200 rupees or something. To the best of my knowledge, the Asra pension that is given in Telangana is highest in the country. And then there
Mhm.
are various other kinds of social protection schemes. And then this Asra pension also. Earlier, I remember, because many years ago, when I was the district collector and sub collector, I used to implement these schemes myself. People had to go to some office, queue up, and then waste time.
Yes,
Sometimes
yes,
get cheated, get harassed.
yes.
But now, in a very easy way, all these pension amounts get transferred directly to your account, so you don't have to go anywhere. Don't have to run around and get.
But what about the literacy part of the farmers where they're in the villages? They don't have literacy about, how to operate these technologies. On that front, what
Yeah.
is the
So,
step?
so we have taken a very progressive step. We have created. It is not yet done in 100% of the villages, but it has been done in
Hmm.
1,000 villages to begin with. We have
Hmm.
created what are called digital kiosks in these 1,000 villages to begin with, where the hardware has been provided by the government. So your computers, your printers, your scanner, your
Okay.
biometric, the fingerprint reader and all that stuff. They, the hardware has been provided by the government. We have engaged a woman in that village to run that kiosk, to run that center. So 1,000 women have been trained by us. That is also government's responsibility.
Wow.
We have
That's
provided internet
nice.
to that, and these women are local women from that same community. And obviously,
Okay.
in a village, you won't find PhDs and all that. So even if you are a 10th uh, qualified or
Yes.
qualified,
Yes.
that is good enough for us. We have been able to
Yes.
amazing work done by such women also, by giving
Mhm.
them very good, thorough training. So these kiosks are run by women, and the women assist people who themselves are not very familiar with digital technologies. So suppose I
Mhm.
am a villager, I want to, let us say, deposit some money in my bank account. So I don't have to go to some nearby town to my bank and waste my day. I go to the
Yes,
kiosk,
exactly.
I tell the operator what my requirement is, and she does it digitally. And of course, she charges a small service fee because that's a source of livelihood for her. So gradually, what we notice is that, because first of all, the woman is from the same village, the same community, so that barriers are getting, that mental blocks are getting removed. When
Yeah.
people think that technology is only for those who live in Hyderabad, who speak English, who have gone to colleges, it is not for people in the villages. That kind of myth is getting broken. And you mentioned T Fiber a while ago. T Fiber actually
Yeah.
will be taking broadband to every home. So tomorrow, when people's mindsets are changed, when they know that even in a village we can operate that technology, and tomorrow when I say that here internet is there at your doorstep, I'm confident that lots of people will invest in devices. They will start operating technologies from their homes itself, and that will be a real game changer for our society.
Yes, because I remember you mentioned that earlier then people on the farmer side used to be, just stand like this, but now they walk like this and, they are more comfortable with these kind of people whom you have allotted instead of those zamidars.
Yeah, yeah. So
So,
lots of changes have happened. Lots of changes have happened in the villages because of the economic empowerment and social empowerment. Good projects have happened, and the dynamics, the sociology of villages have changed quite a lot. We don't have a feudal
I
system
also
anymore.
wanted to speak about the T consult app, what
Yeah,
they have.
there are many such things. We can give you multiple examples.
Okay, you must be in a hurry. I know
Yeah,
it's time up for you now.
yeah, the sum and
Uh,
substance is that Telangana, in the last 6 years, our attempt has been to make Telangana a state where technology is deployed for various public purposes. This is a technology enabled state, and we engage our young entrepreneurs, startups, and even, of course, large technology companies, technology providers to join hands with the government and give these kind of useful solutions. So we have done very well. Our technology journey in the last 6 years has been very, very
yeah.
satisfactory. In many ways, it has been a role model for the rest of.
Yes. Yes, yes. Thank you so much, sir. Actually, it's great talking to you, and you have spent so much of time on this platform, and it's such a valuable time of yours. And I know it's your gym time. So, one inspiration message before we end the show for today for everybody who's watching this.
So, Madhvi, I have already given so
So
many,
many messages.
so many, so many important takeaways. But I will repeat
And
something which I mentioned already, which is that count your blessings. I mean, uh, feel very content with what you have. Don't see anything as your entitlement. It is just a matter of luck that you are here and not someone else. You could have been on a footpath struggling for your livelihood day in and day out, but that fate could
absolutely.
not come your way. You have been given a different kind of life path. So
Ji,
be humble about it, be grateful,
ji,
and try to give back as much as you can. That's the best
ji.
message, particularly during these times when the world has been completely turned upside down.
Absolutely. So thank you, sir. Thank you from my side, and I wish you all the best. I'm very small to say this, but I always say this. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for coming on to my show and accepting the invitation. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Madhvi. Enjoyed this conversation. Thanks a lot. Keep it
Oh,
going.
my pleasure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Okay, guys, so this was all about our special guest, rather, a very special guest today. And I would like to end this show here, and we'll meet you once again with another personality onto my show. But till that time, please do subscribe to my channel for regular updates. Don't forget to hit the bell icon. Hope you have liked the conversation which we had today. And it was little intellectual, little candid. I loved it. Thank you so much, sir, again. And hope to see you all with once again new episode of What's Your Story. Till that time, take care. Good night.